So we're going to get I Love Desi.
Yeah. I love you, Desi. You're a legend.
Yes!
Go Manly. Go Manly. I love you, Desi.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, g'day everyone and welcome back to the Gold Coast Titans Frontline Podcast. We are here right now to recap round 20, preview round 21 and talk absolutely everything Gold Coast Titans. We've also got a huge announcement for you for an upcoming podcast that we've got, which we're really excited for. A little bit of quick housekeeping for you all, guys. If you're here on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you're listening on a podcast service, please rate us 5 stars and follow there as well. It all helps us grow the community. Let me welcome in my gorgeous co-host, Blaze. Mate, on the vlog, what can I say? Signing autographs for people in the crowd. Also got unconfirmed reports you saved a family from a house fire. And you also ran back from Sydney in a challenge. You didn't get your flight back. You ran back. Is all of that true and confirmed from your perspective?
All of which is true. Yes, every single part of that. Also had to, there was a young child who went for a swim in Manly Beach, and I saw a massive whopping great white shark coming along. And the first sort of thing I had to do was just jump on in there and wrangle it, because we wrangled the sharks a couple of weeks ago. So I have the experience. We did it at Coffs Harbour. I was like, now that we're in Manly, what is the Sharks doing here? I don't know, but I jumped in, saved that. So yeah, look, it was pretty easy, to be completely honest with you. You know, not too much off the back there, but no, look, it was a really cold trip. I'll put it that way. It was really, really cold down there in Sydney over the weekend. Very windy, and I'm super run down and tired at the moment. Obviously, a lot of traveling this year, and then to lose under those circumstances was pretty significant as well. But, you know, I'm doing my 75 hard and my carnivore. I'm 14 days deep now, and, you know, I'm really, really feeling it. So, no, we keep on firing on, son. But, yeah, look, I had to do a lot over the weekend.
Yeah, mate, fire it up, absolutely. And I can't help but think part of the reason why you are a bit ill is just the shock. Obviously, our 3-game losing streak was snapped, which sucks, but also the Wallabies won. And that's a lot for an Australian fan.
Hold on. Our 3-game winning streak was snapped, and our 3-game losing streak was snapped.
3-game winning streak, rather. My apologies there. And, of course, the Wallabies got a win, which is very, very foreign to Australians. So, potentially, look, I'm no doctor, but if I had to diagnose something, I'd say you're in a bit of a state of shock at the moment. But that's fine, mate. Nothing the Gold Coast Titans Frontline Podcast cannot fix, guys. Let's jump straight into our Titans news. And to be honest, there really isn't too much news here, Blaze. I've got a few casualty ward updates. Jimmy Jolliffe, he's ahead of progress and on track to return next round. AJ Brimson out again this round, listed as a return next round as well. And unfortunately, Harley Smith-Shields last week did injure his hamstring at training. He returned from that pec injury. We reviewed it, said it was a great return. Then, unfortunately, the hammy went, so he'll be out until round 25. Only other bit of news I've got for you, Blaze. Former head of culture here at the Titans, Mal Meninga, has signed an ambassador role with the Raiders. I kind of saw that coming. Would you agree with that?
Mate, he lived in Canberra when he was working with us. Like, he is just Canberra. I don't think many Titans fans will look back at Mal Meninga at the Titans with a fantastic amount of fondness. You know, within the club, maybe they know more than what the general fans do know, but from a public perspective, he didn't really do a great deal here. So, yeah, from what everyone can kind of see, he's back where he belongs there in Canberra with the Raiders. And, you know, best of luck to him. We can only wish the best of luck to him, and hopefully he does well down there at Canberra. Would have liked to have seen more at the Gold Coast, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're going to be the head of culture for a club, you know, kind of part of that role you would think would entail being in the location full time to work on that culture, being seen and heard physically at the club, not virtually via Zoom. And yeah, I didn't actually know that he lived in Canberra, mate, but I went to an outlet centre here once, and he was in Just Cuts, who were offering like $8 specials on like a Saturday, and he was getting a haircut. So I don't know how much we were paying Mal, but either he's skimping out on the haircuts or we weren't paying him enough, because he was getting the $8 job at Just Cuts. And that's when you told me, when I said I just saw Mal, and you said he lives down there. Didn't know it. Alrighty, mate. Origin recap. Of course, we're not going to break down the game or talk about it from that perspective, but we do need to talk about our only player, which was Moeki Fotuaika. Now, he started in the decider, which was previous to his role in the first 2 Origins. So I want to ask you, how did you see Big Mo's game in the decider?
Yeah, I thought Mo was solid. Obviously, we're both Queenslanders, so very disappointing performance overall there by Queensland to lose that at home at Suncorp. But I did label before the game started. I did say that New South Wales have the better lineup. I just thought that Suncorp was going to be able to be the deciding factor there, and obviously it wasn't. So I thought that Moe, ran the ball hard. I thought that his defense was solid while he was on, and obviously by the end of that 65 minutes of pure just aggression and intensity from both sides, it just broke Queensland in the end, and New South Wales went away with those 2 tries. So yeah, look, I thought that Moe was very, very solid. Nothing like a standout performance by any means, but solid nonetheless.
That's what I thought for Mo. I've got good without being great. He ran well. He defended well. When the game was at its most intense moments, Mo met that intensity and helped rise it with the Maroons pack, pulling off a few absolute bell ringers there as well. But he didn't quite prove that point of difference like an Angus Crichton did for the Blues forward pack, for example. But by the same nature, that's in a perfect world, and that's not Mo's job to do. That's a back rower's job. And I thought our back rowers were underwhelming, if I'm absolutely honest, mate. So let's go to that real quick. I know it's been spoken about at length, but I'm actually, I'm a bit G'd up right now, mate. So I thought Capewell played pretty good. I'll give him that. He played the 80 minutes. He had 2 tackle breaks, 1 offload, 41 tackles for only 1 miss, and 80 meters ran.
Yeah, but don't forget that he also gave up multiple 6-agains and also multiple penalties, and also probably should have been sin binned as well. But that's on the side of it. Those stats you've given up there, 80 meters, not so much great, but the 41 tackles for 1 missed is good defensively anyway.
I agree. He should have been sin binned. That was a very dangerous tackle on Stephen Crichton. I'm a Maroons fan. As soon as it happened, I said, damn it, we're playing down. But he's not actually the one I want to point some criticism at here, mate. It's Felice Kaufusi. Shocking. Just absolutely shocking. Now, I know he played a middle role instead of back row, but he was picked for that versatility because he can play both. And the way I thought we could employ Dave in game 3 is like a Spencer Laniu, where I don't care if he's on the edge or in the middle. You just tell him to run hard and look for opportunities, right? And Dave could have absolutely come off the bench and provided that impact. Instead, we got Billy Slater's former teammate, Felice Kaufusi. And I held my tongue at the time, mate, and I didn't say anything because I had, out of respect for Queensland, our coach, our state, and the belief that I still had. He brought absolutely nothing. Now, he was promoted from the bench after a dismal performance in game 2 that was just average, to say the least. And there was this fear factor, and he brings this intimidation factor, supposedly. Can I remind everyone, majority of his big hits last year resulted in suspensions because they were illegal tackles. Not exactly the fear factor you want in an Origin game where a sin bin can quite literally lose you the game. Now, he played 16 minutes, and the concern was that Dave has too many errors in his game when he gets fatigued. But Felice Kaufusi played 16 minutes. You're telling me Dave couldn't have played 16 minutes effectively? I tell you what he could have done, Blaze. He could have had 2 runs for 4 meters. 2 runs for 4 meters. He had 7 tackles for 1 miss. Now, everyone, including the media, has gone at Dave for his performance last round against the Seagulls. All right, Paul Gallen said, when the game's going good, Dave Fafita's in the match. He's running hard, doing things. But when it starts to get a little bit hard, that's when he backs off a bit. So I understand Queensland does not pick him. Well, Dave, in a supposedly crap performance where it's now justified not picking him, had 1 try assist, 17 runs, 133 meters, 8 tackle breaks, a line break assist, 1 offload, and 16 tackles for 1 miss. So we had double the tackles for the same amount of misses against a Manly side that scored 7 tries to what Felice Kaufusi had in just 16 minutes with no fatigue set in against a Blues side that scored 2 tries. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, mate.
Man, I'm not going to be the one telling you you're wrong. I've been calling this. I haven't been sitting back behind it and waiting out of respect for Queensland. I love Queensland, but I also back my Titans from 24/7, and this is our community, and I'll always back them in just as hard. And I thought it was disrespectful from the start. So, yeah, none of this is surprising to me. I've always said that Fafita should have been selected for forward, as Michael Ennis does call him. I've always thought that he should have been selected, and it's very, very obvious. Now, I will play a little bit of devil's advocate and say that I don't necessarily believe this means that we win Origin 3. It could be the game changer and the ball breaker that we do need on the field in Dave Fafita. That absolutely could have changed the game. So at least he would have had that opportunity to change the game through a big run or a great offload or just a line break or whatever. So it would have provided an extra opportunity for X factor, right? Which is what Dave Fifita is. Don't necessarily know that we win it because it was so intense, but overall, defensively, you couldn't have asked more out of Kate Welch. It's unfortunate that he did give away some pretty crucial penalties in that game and whatnot. But yeah, Dave absolutely should have been selected, and I've been saying this since before game one. So however long that's been, over 2 months now.
2 runs, 4 meters. I get it, Billy Slater. Every single person in the fans and the media and every person thought Dave Fifita should be there. And we get it. You're in charge of the team. You make the picks. You make the selections. But you didn't need to try to prove this point. Yeah, really, really let down. Dave wasn't there, mate. And I don't think anyone can change our minds. If you can, please do in the comment section. But I'm absolutely firm in my belief, and I feel like we are absolutely vindicated and justified with our reaction pre-game when Dave wasn't selected and saying that he should have been there. Absolutely. Let's park it, mate. I think Dave Fifita, every single person's probably overhearing about Dave and Maroon, so we will park it there and leave it and move on and review last round. Not our day, mate. We lose 38 points to 8 at Brookvale Oval. Of course, you were there live, mate. So I want to ask you, how did you see it from the venue? What was the vibes like, and your overall assessment of this game, please?
Yeah, look, firstly, guys, I just want to also point out that Clarkey is freezing up a little bit, but overall, I know you can still hear him and whatnot. So, yeah, do forgive for that. We're not too sure what's going on. Secondly, the vibes were good pre-game. You know, we're having a good time. I did kind of have a feeling. I usually have a pretty strong feeling on the day or within the 24 hours going up to it about what's going to happen. And I did get the vibe that Manly would win. Now, I didn't think that they would win by as much as they did. By any means. I don't think anybody did. You know, Brookvale they class it as a fortress, even though we've won 6 out of our last 8 there, and now still 6 out of our last 9. So we still have a winning record at Brookvale, guys. Just want to throw that out there. Big shout out to Mark Verrills, Sam Verrills' dad. He listens to the podcast every week, so I know that he's listening right now. The Verrills family, they are characters, man. Real entertaining. Love to be around them. And, yeah, they were there on the day. And they're actually from down there in Manly. So just a quick little side point. There was a comment on one of the Titans' Instagram posts last week. I think it was on the team list. And someone was like, oh, Sammy V gets to go back to his old stomping grounds. And in my head, and pretty much everybody else's head, they're like, what do you mean Manly? Like, he's from the Roosters, right? That's the only other team he played for. But in the youth, in the up-and-coming grades, that's where he played for Manly and whatnot. So they're all from that Manly region. So big shout out to the Verrills family. Hilarious. Love to be around them. Now, in regards to the game, I can pinpoint to you where we lost it in kind of 2 instances. One was the Brian Kelly brain snap after the line break to kind of kick it through for himself to try and, I don't know, show his old teammates that he's the boss or something. I don't know. It was just one of those Brian Kelly games that weren't exactly at his best. He can be such good diamond, but he can also be rocks. He's a rocks and diamonds kind of player. And you just want that. Obviously, you want the diamonds to come out more often than not, but sometimes you can just get those moments, which is what we saw in that game. But the big one that I noticed was we don't know how to receive short dropouts. We just don't know how to defend them. It's just as simple as that. When Cherry Evans, who wasn't great for the first part of this game, and I don't even think he really kind of lit up this game too much at all, when he did the short dropout over to Loffy's side, which is Jason Saab's side, Saab is a tall guy. Saab is a very, very tall guy. And you could see that mismatch very, very early. We were actually in that corner. The Titans fans were in that corner. And you could see the mismatch. Saab got it, grabbed the ball, came down with it. We were up 8-0 at this point. We were dominating the game. We had line breaks galore. And then Manly on that set went to the 50, got a penalty at the on the left-hand side, and then scored that set. And from there, they scored again, literally like a minute later, half a minute later, 1 minute later. And from there, you just knew, okay, well, this shit's going to hit the fan here. Like, it's going to hit the fan. You just can tell a game and how it's rolling immediately. And that's exactly what happened, because I'll put an emphasis on this. This was the Tigers game on steroids. This was the Tigers game on steroids, because we lost this ourselves again, in my personal opinion. But it's just that the Tigers don't know how to win by a big margin when the opposite team is throwing it away. Manly know how to put you to bed, and that's exactly what they did. So, and Luke Brooks did that. Nathan Brown did that. All these kind of guys just absolutely tore us up. Nathan Brown tearing us up is disgraceful, but he has been decent enough this season. So the reason why I say this is because, yeah, we went out to an 8-0 lead, just like Tigers. We went out to like a 10-0 lead or whatever it was. And we had line break and then line break and line break and line break. And I said to a couple of the guys with me, I think I said to Izzy, we're getting all these line breaks, but we're not scoring. We're not scoring off these line breaks. So for me, I'll ask you, do you think this was the Tigers game on steroids?
There were certainly elements of that game where, aspects of our own footy, we beat ourselves. And I do agree that if a side is going to put you to the sword when you're making errors, it's going to be the Seagulls more so than the Tigers. In that sense, mate, Manly at home this year have beaten the Roosters, Panthers, and I'm not sure Storm, but I know they beat them at home last year. So that we know they're very strong at Brookvale. And if you aren't there at 80, 90%, they will put you to the sword. I want to start with a positive before, unfortunately, I have to go into the negatives. But I really loved our start here. It was confident. It was bold. We were shifting the footy early. We were taking calculated chances. And it really reminded me of the start of the Tigers game in that regard, where I got that feeling in the first 15 minutes, all right, the boys are on here. This looks really, really promising. And please feel free to jump in whenever, mate. I'm just going to rattle off my notes. Against the Sharkies, on our recap of that game, we did point out that they took 6 short dropouts and recovered 3 of them, and that 50% recovery rate just wasn't good enough. And ultimately, that really did cost us this time, because once they got that momentum, we couldn't find a way to shift it or stop it or pause it in any way. They have a very experienced halves pairing there of DC and Luke Brooks, 500-plus games between them.
Yeah, I want to jump in here and say that that's something that we've, as a club, never been able to adjust. When the momentum swings, and this has been specific through Justin Holbrook's tenure, absolutely prime time example there, is that when the momentum goes against us and we've had it and then we lose it, other teams know how to go through like a 5, 10, 15-minute stanza and then regain it. But once that momentum gets lost by us, we have never, as a club, been able to overturn that and bring it back in our favour. I don't know whether it's because the boys' heads just go down, which is what a common argument has been over the years of the Gold Coast Titans, but there just needs to be a change of mentality that you can change the momentum back in your favour. And I'll let you continue in a second. Brookvale wasn't that special in regards to the noise. Like, I go to every single game, home and away, and I can tell you right now, Brookvale was sold out, and yet for the first 20 minutes, people around the ground, the only thing they could hear was us in the front line. That's the only thing they could hear. And I promise you that, because people were up there who were fans of mine who came down to a Manly fans like, oh, man, we couldn't even hear any Manly fans. It was just you guys going. And it's like, okay, well, that's great to hear. It means that we did our job as fans, but for some reason, the team was able to take that momentum in full grasp, and it wasn't because of this special Manly atmosphere that we'll talk about. It wasn't spectacular. I can tell you places that definitely do have that, and they do have that kind of aura. Amy Park in Melbourne, Suncorp Stadium. The biggest one is Mount Smart in New Zealand. That place is ridiculous. Once you switch that momentum, look at the Warriors game against us in round 8 or whatever it was of this year when we played them. The momentum was switched, and then they pounded us for that last 20. Now, we held out, but they pounded us. So it wasn't even the Manly aura. It was just that we couldn't turn back that momentum like we've never been able to do.
Yeah, and I think part of that as well is, like, Kieran Foran is traditionally a 5'8", so his kicking game isn't that sort of game managing style that like a Daly Cherry Evans has. And then you go to 5'8", Jaden Campbell. He's more traditionally a fullback, not a main kicker as well. Whereas both of their halves are traditional halfbacks in that sense, that do have that long kicking game in DC and Brooks. So I think that hurt us there as well. And you called it Brookvale Oval. I'm going to call it Boovale Oval, because that's all I could hear through the speaker, no matter what. Every single tackle, they've just booed. It didn't even make sense half the time. Like, the boy who cried wolf, when you do something so many times, it doesn't have effect.
Bro, I actually got into a bit of an argument. I got into a bit of an argument with a Manly fan, because I said, mate, all you're doing this entire game is whinging. And he said something like, oh, it's not our fault we get the worst referee in the game. And I said, mate, you're calling for the offside. You're in the corner of the stadium. I want to put this out for everybody. If you're calling for offside and you're in the corner of the stadium in the opposite side of the field or anywhere on the field, you can't see if they're offside or not. It's just not possible. You can't see it. I've been in enough games to tell you right now, you're probably not going to be able to see it unless you are directly in line, man. I get yelling for it, but man, yes, you are correct. They were booing for the sake of it.
100%, man. And if they want to bring up referee decisions, I've actually got a key stat that did frustrate me, because when I looked at this game from the eye test, I felt. Say again, sorry.
Play the ball speed.
No, something else. But this when I rewatched this game and watched it, this past the eye test, vicious. And looking back in the stats, it did confirm it. I'll get to that in a moment. I just want to point out for people, the Roosters are a great team as well. They had a 4-game winning streak snap this round with a no-show against the Storm at their home ground. And Manly are 5th right now. We played them at their home ground. So I guess it doesn't make it any less disappointing, but even the best sides on winning streaks do have no-shows, guys. What I think this game really shown was we are missing Jimmy and Tino in the middle there. Now, our middle was defeated by the Seagulls. That's what helped them get momentum. And I'm okay with that. I really am, guys, because I think if you take Taniela Paseka and Jake Trbojevic out of their side, which are their 2 best middle forwards, the same thing happens in reverse. Tino and Jimmy, Moeki, Fotuaika, we run all over their forward pack. Aaron Clark comes off the bench with punch. I've got no concerns there. So disappointing again, but I'm not upset by it. Our scramble in defense, usually we're missing more tackles than the other side, but our scramble is what's really stopping these tries. This game, we actually missed less tackles, but our scramble defense just wasn't as good with it. I think the boys probably felt at some stage the game had gotten away from them in enemy territory. And again, I'm okay with it. It happens. We're still an improving side. Where I think we actually went the worst in this game, Blaze, and tell me if you've sort of noticed this at the ground as well. We had an explosive start and it worked well. But as soon as they got back into the game, because we missed both of our goals and we're only up 8-0, we then kind of freaked out a bit and said, whoa, stop. We've got to get back in control. Let's go to a conservative approach. And the issue was, as a team collectively, 1 to 13, half were still playing aggressive, Brian Kelly with the grubber, and half were playing conservative with Kieran Foran trying to manage the game. So we actually floated in this real awkward zone where we were taking silly chances and being conservative when we should have taken chances. And the thing that really put the cherry on top and cemented that view for me was the intercept pass we threw for Tommy Talau. I think it was like 3rd tackle. We didn't need to do it. But I think the players were kind of, how are we playing football right now, guys? Are we aggressive or are we conservative? And there was a bit of a disconnect. Did you feel that at the ground watching as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, you could definitely tell there was a disconnect between the two in the attacking and defensive stature. But I will also say in regards to that intercept, is Bowie Firma. That was unbelievable. Like that chase down from Bo Firma on Tommy Talau was spectacular. That is a back rower who was coming off an ACL injury that held him out of the entirety of last season that has been able to chase down. And you can see that on the first camera angle, when I've gone back and watched the game, Tommy Talau is away. Like, there's no one who's going to catch him. And Bo just comes out of nowhere onto the screen and gets him down. Now, I'll point out here a negative here, and I hate that this is so negative, but in the same sense, guys, we want to win. We want this team to be good. We spoke about this last week. We explained this last week. We want this team to be on the right track, and overall, I still think we are on the right track. This is just a real big bump in the road. But Bowie Firma put his back, soul, body, everything into making that tackle. Well, where is everybody else? The only person I could see was JC. The only person I could see within the vicinity was JC. And guess what? Tom Trbojevic scores right under the post when Bo made this amazing tackle and chase. So where was everybody else? And I know this isn't what Desi's teaching him. I know Desi's teaching him to get back. I know Desi's defense is just bang, 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 bang. He knows what he's doing there. So where was everybody else? It's just as simple as that. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to come out here and say, any negatives about specific players, but I will say that if you're not one of Bo Firma or JC, well, I know you're probably exhausted. I know you're probably tired, but I'm sorry. In this 80 minutes, you have to play every single second as hard as you possibly can. I can tell you right now, Bowie would have been tired. Actually, no, I saw him tired right after it as well. Yeah, you've got to get back and make the play regardless of how tired you are.
Spot on, mate. We don't need to name names. Just as a team, we let Bo and JC down there. As a team collectively, we all could have been back there ready to defend again. And, when Bo comes up with such an incredible play like that and they score under the post, keeping in mind if Bo doesn't make that tackle, they score out wide and could still miss that conversion. It makes it even more disappointing, right? Very disappointing for Bo there. Now, this is the referee stat that I really disagree with, mate, and I want to bring up, and I know to any other person besides a Titans fan, which isn't this podcast, of course, it's going to sound very salty. Manly, all afternoon, were consistently offside every single time we made a line break. Every single time we made a line break and tried to spread the ball wide to score, they gave away a set restart to avoid the try consistently. In the realms of dead set, professional foul because it was that intentional. Now, that's what I saw watching the game. The stats here tell us the Titans had 7 line breaks and Manly gave away 8 set restarts. Now, I wouldn't hesitate to say 6 of those were after line breaks and maybe 2 were in general play. I thought that was really bad and they should have received a warning for that, because every time we'd make a break, we'd spread that ball. I'd get up off the couch excited. Come on, boys. Come on, boys. Damn, we didn't get the try. Then it pans to the referee. 6 again, offside. And I just thought, ref, this has happened 5+ times now. This is very, very encroaching on professional foul territory. And when we talk professional fouls, Blaze, Tom Trbojevic, this one is particularly bad. Never in the past 2 years has a player been able to hold someone down after a line break and stay on the field with a set restart blown. It has consistently been a send bin, and it wasn't this time. Now, I know we're attacking the line. I know there were some other factors involved, but at the end of the day, we made a line break. Tom Trbojevic held us down when Manly players were not onside yet to intentionally give away a set restart, knowing it doesn't hurt his side as much, and he was able to stay on the field and wasn't sin-binned. That being said, I want to get this out here for all Titans fans. Manly were the better team. Manly deserved to win. I don't want to take that away from them. They can't control how the referee adjudicates a game. I just want to mention a few questionable things. I'm happy to say they dominated the game from the 13 minutes onwards, Blaze, but I don't know, mate. Did you kind of notice that theme and that common trend at the ground as well?
I'm going to say here that, yes, Manly were the better team, but also, and I'm not blaming the referees here, because from the game that we were given and from the game that we saw, Manly, I wouldn't say from the 13th minute onwards, I would say from like the 25th minutes onwards was when Manly started to dominate, because that's kind of around with that dropout. No, the dropout didn't even happen until the 35th minute or 34th minute or something like that. It was late in the first half, and they went bang, bang. So I would dead set say the first 30 minutes were ours until yeah, that obviously did change there. But yeah, look, I think that the game that we were given is based off of the calls that were made, right? So the calls that are made is what delivers the game to how it becomes. So when people say, oh, the call didn't happen in the last 2 minutes of the game, so it doesn't matter, it's just nonsense. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. Because if a call happens in the second minute of the game and then a try is scored or just something different happens, the whole game from that second minute onwards is completely changed. So let's say that with the Tom Trbojevic one, we were up 8-0, yeah?
I can't remember exactly if they'd scored at that point, but I want to say we were up 8-0, yeah.
Okay, so we're up 8-0, 8-6, whatever it was. I don't think it would have been 8-6 because they scored so quickly that we wouldn't have got a line break in between. But let's go assume it was 8-0. So at 8-0 there, if there's a sin bin there, I believe that probably goes on to win us the game. I think it probably does with Tom Trbojevic, because Tom Trbojevic is the guy that he's got 3 tries, 2 try assists, massive line breaks, everything like that. That it completely changes the game in the aspect that their best player is now off the field. And also we've got 10 minutes with the dominating play that we had. We've got 10 minutes to score, and then we're taking it past that 13+ range, which means that now they have to score 3 times rather than 2 times. And I know they ended up winning the game by a big margin, but it's those little calls that count that people don't actually acknowledge too much after the game is said. You acknowledge it then, and you acknowledge it there, but people then just forget about it because it's not like 78 minutes, 79 minutes kind of deal, right? So it doesn't matter if it's late or early. The whole game has changed. With that being said, we were delivered the game we were, and the Manly, they ran away with it. It is what it is. I guess 3 wins in a row was great, and now we get this little bit of a hiccup here, but we're just going to recenter our attention and focus on beating these frauds from up the road.
Just to be absolutely firm with our listeners, I did go back and have a look there while you're speaking. 11 minutes and 38 seconds in, Jojo Fafita makes a line break. It's 4-0 to the Titans. 8 seconds after that point, Tom Trbojevic inside 10 meters gives away a penalty there.
Yeah, exactly right. So who's to say we don't go and score a couple of tries there with him off the field? We already scored 1 try with him on the field. So who's to say we don't score a couple of tries with him off the field?
100%, mate. And I'm scrolling through the, what do they call it? The play-by-play on the NRL website. And you can see a few instances where we made a line break. And then the very next thing says a set restart given away by the Seagulls. So, look, better team won, but a few things didn't go our way. We didn't play our best footy ourselves. Just one other thing, we just got to leave in the past, mate. The last time we played this poor was against the Tigers, and we rebounded next week in Queensland by 60 points. We're in Queensland this week, albeit not at home, slightly up the road at Suncorp.
Oh, mate, if we beat them by a big margin, I'd be going off at Suncorp, man. I'd be going off.
Absolutely incredible, mate. Let's finish with some positives. Let's give out our 3-2-1s for the last game. Did you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'm going to come home exactly with your 3, so I want you to go. You go first.
Awesome. My 3 points was Keano Kinney. Again, I just thought he was getting in there. I thought he was doing the tough stuff. No surprises. He had the most runs for our side and the most run meters. With respect to Brimo, he's still carrying that groin injury, so he probably wasn't able to do that last round playing through the injury, whereas Keano's fit, healthy, full of energy, and I thought that he really brought a different dynamic at fullback for us, which I enjoyed. So 3 points to Keano Kinney for me, and who's going to get yours?
Yeah, my 3 points definitely goes to Keano as well. I want to really focus in on something here and say to people that if you like AJ Brimo, great. If you like Keano Kinney, great. But you do not need to bring the other one down to benefit what you want with this team. You can easily support both of them and just hope for one of them, the one that you like the best, your personal opinion, is better. Whether you're an AJ Brimo fan, you prefer him, well, guess what? You can still support Keano, because guess what? He is still on our team, and he is doing some really good stuff, and he is getting my 3 points here. He ran for 251 meters, 74 post-contact meters, a line break in his game, 5 tackle breaks, had a couple of offloads. Now, defensively, unfortunately, did get called out a couple of times, but also we lost the game 38-8. 38-8. So you can't blame the fullback 100% for the defensive mishaps when you're losing 38-8, because guess what? There are 12 players in front of the fullback. The fullback is at the back. There is going to be a problem somewhere in the line that is not just on that fullback's fault. Now, yes, Keano does need to fix that defensive, 2 tackles, 4 missed, whatever. But at the end of the day, he is not the sole reason for conceding 38 points there. I think it just really annoys me that we've gotten to a stage now where we had JC, AJ, and Keano, and everyone was happy to talk about it. They were happy to kind of really fire all 3 of them up and just hope for the best and see which one comes out as the winner there as the fullback. Now we've seen JC go to that 5/8 role and is doing what he needs to do there. So it's looking like a battle between AJ and Keano. But now it's getting to a point where it's becoming really aggressive in the way that people are actually saying their opinions and saying, no, AJ must do that. Keano is not good. Or Keano must be here. AJ is just injured all the time. And it's like, your opinions are all right and you're allowed to have them, but just respect the fact that these 2 guys are both on our team right now, and these 2 guys are putting every bit of effort into trying to win us games. So I just think that our fan base needs to settle down in regards to the constant badgering in regards to the fullback battle and just see how it turns out and see who comes out best in the end.
100% agree, mate. I have seen that bickering as well on the Titans fan groups. And, I think it's completely fine to criticize one's game where they weren't their best and praise the other. But I do agree with you. It's when people are directly pitching them up against each other. But instead of there being a compliment either way, it's just, oh, he's so much better because AJ's a bad player. Obviously not saying it as kind as that in certain places. But no, I agree with you, mate. One team, one dream, and all of our players have the same goal. That all of our fans have as well. My 2 points went to Bowie Firma. Just in a row this week, just looked right at home. I loved his work and effort on both sides of the ball, especially defensively. And of course, you mentioned the key moment, which was the cherry on top for Bo. Who's going to get your 2 points?
Yeah, mine's definitely going to go to Bowie specifically for that tackle. Realistically, he did make 33 tackles for just the 2 miss, which is very, very solid. He did have like 7 tackle breaks in this game as well, with a line break assist and also a line break. Only had the 109 meters though, which isn't exactly fantastic. 37 of those being post contact, but did also have that really strong try. That try was really, really strong to be able to achieve. So I will give my 2 to Bo. I think that the work ethic was there for a guy that I had to have a little bit of criticism for last week in regards to I can't remember what happened there, but this week definitely doesn't deserve any criticism. He worked his ass off there for the team.
Absolutely, one of our best, mate. My 1 point's Chrissy Randall, for the same reasons. Was on the field for 72 minutes, worked hard for the whole time there. It wasn't anything too special from Chris. I don't think we had too many standout performers in this game. But what I can say about Chrissy's work for that 72 minutes, it was an honest performance. He didn't let you down. He put in hard work, and I can always appreciate that, even at a big loss. Who gets your 1 point?
Yeah, I've got a different one-pointer, but I will say that I think 100 meters for Chris Randall running is probably his record this year. He does not run for many meters usually. Usually he's around that 60 to 65 kind of mark. But this time he ran for 100, so good stuff there for Chrissy Randall. I'm actually going to go to Philip Sami again, like I did last week. I think we a lot of people forget about the stats that he does put up here is actually quite solid. 170 meters run with a 66 post-contact meters. He had 2 line breaks in this game, 1 line break assist. He had 7 tackle breaks up there with Bowie Firma and Dave Fafita. So Dave Fafita had 8 tackle breaks, Bowie Firma had 7 tackle breaks, and Phil Sami had 7 tackle breaks. So he is up there with the big boys in regards to making those breaks on the tackles. And then he also got an offload and also had 18 tackles for a center. This is huge. 18 tackles with just the 3 missed there. So, and when we're losing by 38-8, that is a quite a solid amount of tackles we're making. And usually you don't see... Usually you'd see with like an 18 tackle count, you'd probably see more like a 5er or a 6er kind of missed tackle count. Like, for example, unfortunately, BK, I'm going to throw you out here. BK with 11 tackles made, 4 missed. So he made 7 less tackles and 1 extra missed tackle, right? So that's not a generic centre performance defensively, but it's kind of what you would expect overall. So this is a really good defensive performance there from Sami for the most part.
And although BK didn't have his best game against the Seagulls, I am excited to see him rebound. I think he's more than capable of rebounding. You know, someone like Harley Smith-Shields, whilst he is injured for a lot of the rest of this year, not coming back in 25, I think BK will have on his mind that, you know, Desi has the will, but also be looking forward to next year. And if he's not strong and consistent to finish this year, then he has a chance to lose that centre spot to either a Carter Gordon, who could go there.
Yeah, well, I will just say here that at the end of the day, guys, we will try and big up and tell you that like we do have a mathematical chance if we win every single game from here on out to make it to the finals, right? But I think that realistically, as all of us being adults are very, very well aware, with some, you know, younger audience who listen as well, but with all of us having a sound mind, we know and are aware that more than likely we're not going to be making the finals this year. I know this might be a heartbreaker to you, but at the end of the day, you do need to kind of bite the bullet in that scenario and just understand that this is probably not going to be the year. But there are so many factors that you look into it and say, you know, Tino is effectively a brand new signing for Desi next year, which is huge. Desi has completely implemented his system now. Let's not forget, based off of 1 big loss here, that we did have 3 wins in a row, which we haven't done for like 4 years just beforehand. You know, we've still got this back end of the year to see how Desi does move along, but you can already see through this year that we have needed this year just to adjust to go into 2025. So I'm really, really confident in next year, and I say that after a big loss. But yeah, look, I think that overall, I'm excited to see what BK does this week against the Dolphins. And like I said, he's a very rocks and diamonds player. Sometimes he can be, you know, the bottom of bottom, but sometimes he can be absolutely electric and the top of the top. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, overall, guys, don't get too concerned with ladder positioning because we're not coming last, and I probably would say we're not coming into the finals.
No, I agree with that. And I know that I did just criticize BK there, but I will say some of the comments I saw on some of the social media were too far. So on behalf of the frontline community toward BK, you know, we're still in your corner, mate. We still believe in you. We still love you. You know you didn't have your best game. We know you didn't have your best game. And okay, all you can do is get back on that horse and hopefully smash the Dolphins, mate. Affiliates recap. This one will be nice and quick, Blaze, because it was a bye round, so no games. Just a quick reminder, this round, I've got Falcons. Oh, that's right, I do. Saturday, 1 p.m., Falcons v Jets. Usually I put our team first, so I was like, I confused myself. Titans involved Jalen DeGroot, Kenny Mamalo, Ryan Foran, and Arama Howe. And Sunday, 10 past 2 p.m., where our Seagulls are against the Clydesdales. Keep in mind, they're coming off a 50-10 victory. So I reckon Tommy Weaver's going to have a huge game this weekend. He's in there, of course, as is Isaac Fa'a.
Couple of things in regards to this. So everyone had to buy this round.
Yeah, there was no Q-Cup action at all last weekend.
And secondly, Sunday is an amazing day if you're a Titans fan, but it's also a very difficult day because the Titans men's team plays at 4 p.m. against the Dolphins. The Seagulls take on the Clydesdales at 2:10 p.m. and the Titans women's team plays at 1 p.m. or something like that. So, and we have an extra podcast for you guys to listen to tomorrow that will be going in depth into the women's. pre-season into the season and also the first game and whatnot, our preview for the whole year. So listen in for that one tomorrow. But it's crazy because we've got 3 games on that day, all at very similar times.
Yeah, we do. It'll be difficult. And, that's one gripe I do have with the NRLW. I wish there was a way that it didn't overlap with NRL games and vice versa. I much prefer being able to, just sit down on the couch and watch the game staged back to back to back. But that's okay. We'll still find a way to get all the stats, get all the information, and recap it all for you guys here next week, mate. Let's go to next round. Now, we are against the Dolphins at Suncorp Stadium on the Sunday at the 4 p.m. game we've got, as you just said there. Yeah. Now, we are 0-3 against the Dolphins. From what I can see online on NRL tipping apps and stuff like that, a lot of people are with the Dolphins. They do expect us to fall to 0-4 here. I want to ask you for your preview in this game. Do you think we can win? How do you see it coming into it?
Yeah, this is like, I believe we can win for sure. I know we can win. I don't want to think one game defines us. This Manly game in this last month. But then again, like in the last 2 months, you've got a very, very mixture of awful, but also very, very good. Geez, how do I look at this game? One, I dread going to Suncorp to play the Dolphins because I know how I felt last year. And last year was a tough one. That was a real tough one for our fan base. Obviously, the week afterwards, so we've actually switched around. So actually, this could be a good sign here, lads, because Manly, we played the week after the Dolphins last year, right? So the Dolphins last year, we were up 26-0, and obviously we lost 28-26, whatever it was. That's the last one I need to mention that. But the week after, we then travelled down to Manly, and we flogged them down there at Brookvale Oval to really bounce back from that one. Now, I don't think this Manly game has been as demoralising down there at Brookvale as that one was last year with the Dolphins. But I will say now we've gone down to Manly, and we've been whooped by Manly and embarrassed by Manly. We get to travel to the Dolphins this week for a little bit of revenge and a little bit of bite back. And, we're going to try and change around our fortunes. And I think that the boys need to know that the Dolphins are very beatable. The Dolphins are very, very beatable right now. They are not the team that they have been for the majority of the year. They have been plummeting down the table. Like if you quickly go and have a look at their recent results in the last few weeks, yes, obviously they gave it a good crack against the Panthers and lost 28-26. Yes, they beat the Rabbitohs 36-28, which isn't actually that big of a deal. Before that, they lost to the Dragons 26-6. They lost to the Storm 30-24. They were extremely lucky to come home with a win against the Sharks 30-28, which was an awful 60 minutes there from the Dolphins. But the Sharks just weren't able to get over the top of them. They lost to the Raiders 26-25. Lost to the Warriors 24-20. Beat the Tigers 24-12. Whoop-de. And it goes on. So overall, their record is really starting to plummet, and you can actually pinpoint it from when Wayne Bennett stood down as the coach for 2025 and has gone to the Rabbitohs. So I think that although Wayne's still there and he knows how to win this game and he has a real big grudge against the Titans, I don't know what it is. Pure Muppet there, one of the greatest coaches of all time, but pure Muppet. He has a grudge against the Titans and does love to kick the boot in every time we play each other. I just got to hope the boys can turn up here and give us something to celebrate up there at Suncorp, because we actually do have a pretty good record at Suncorp in recent years.
Well, there's 2 factors why I'm really excited and think we can win this game. Number one, the Dolphins are conceding 26 points or more in their last 6 games. And, if a team's giving up 26 points that large of a snapshot, then I have to think we're a chance. We do have fantastic attack. We can explode out of the blocks like we've shown against Tigers and Manly. And I know that didn't finish out.
I got to say it. Can you repeat what you said? You said if teams are giving up 26 points, there's a good chance or something like that?
Yeah, so if teams are giving up 26 points per game, right, over a snapshot of their last 6, I have to think we're a chance to come in with some good attack, right?
Well, I'll give you an emphasis on that. Well, we scored 26 points last year, 5 weeks in a row, and we only won 2 of them, right? We only won 2 out of those 5. So, no, definitely. There's a very good chance when a team is conceding, more than 26 points, which is what we needed to do 3 times in that little area.
Well, I'll tell you what, the 26 number for this game, given what we did last year, scoring 5 in a row, they've now conceded that or more in their last 6 games. It does hold a little bit of significance and probably could play into my final score prediction here. Both sides' last performances. positive sign for the Dolphins, despite the loss. And, they weren't too bad in Penrith. I thought, let me be fair, actually. I thought they were pretty good in Penrith. The only really downside you can say there is the Panthers are so good that even though they were missing their origin reps, no one gives them the credit for winning that game. Now, the Dolphins were missing players too, but they were good in that. You can't say the same for us. The biggest concern, I suppose, I have is you go to our losses this year, and earlier in the season in particular, it did take us a good 2 or 3 games to really bounce back and get back on track. However, the last time we lost and we beat ourselves or put ourselves under an immense amount of pressure was the Tigers game. And I don't need to remind Titans fans what happened the very next week in Queensland. At our home ground, we beat the Warriors by a 60-point margin. Now, we're not at home this time, but I expect we will get a fairly decent crowd, and the front line will be up there at Suncorp. So I do think we can rebound here. I really do. My key to victory, one final stat actually, rather, guys. We've been really good at Suncorp lately, as you said. We won 3 of our last 4 there. That one loss was against the Knights and Magic. Oh, well, yeah, if the bunker didn't stuff us potentially in that Knights game, yes, that's the only one that we have lost. And we know that was controversial with the try being taken off us 25 minutes later after we scored it, and the crowd all fell asleep because it took that long. But I think our key to victory in this one is really limiting the hammer and Isaiah Katoa. Now, the way you limit the hammer is, I don't know. I literally don't know. Do you know what I mean? He is such a freak. So I don't think we can take him out of the game, but I certainly think we shouldn't be kicking to him. We've seen what can happen against the Sharkies. He can literally run length of the field. We should be kicking to their wingers, and we should be trying to limit Hammer's involvement as much as we possibly can. I don't think there's a blueprint on how to disrupt his game entirely. Isaiah Katoa, though, he was at Penrith Junior, and they did put him under a lot of pressure, particularly late in that game, and he did come up with a few crucial errors. He was under so much pressure. I think he actually got to score. They were 10 meters out with like 3 or 4 minutes to go, and he forgot to take a field goal attempt. And he is only 19 years old, and he's in a crucial position of halfback there. So I would love to see our forwards really pressure him and just drag it into a dogfight with the Dolphins, make it tough for him, take some calculated risks, and attack like we did, or at least we started to do against the Manly Seagulls. So that's my key to victory, mate. I think, if we can limit the hammer and pressure Isaiah Katoa, that'll have us in best stead. Anything standing out for you that you want to see from our boys?
I think the biggest thing for me to get the win here this week is the revenge factor. Is not only the fact that we need to bounce back from Manly, and not only the fact that this is now literally do or die. Like if you're talking about as a club, players, organisation, you're talking about we can still make finals this year. Well, guess what? You have to win this game, and then you have to win next week, and you have to win the week after. So there's that factor. But we need to bounce back from Manly, because that was demoralising in that second half, and we did that last year. So we know how to have that revenge kind of game. And Jimmy Lenihan was our coach then, because that was the no, was he? No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Sorry, it was Justin Holbrook. Sorry, I'm thinking about the Broncos game further on down the track. But yeah, look, I think that we've got that revenge factor there, but also we've got the revenge factor of the fact that we've never beaten the Dolphins before. We've never beaten the Dolphins before. I want the fins to be cut off. I want them cut off, because we should not be 0-3 against this fraud of a team. We shouldn't be. We should not be. We should at least have one win when we're up 26-0 in a really meaningful day for us on Anzac Day, which we've at least won that one. I'll give them credit. This year's one, they were the better team in. But it was also really, really controversial last year with the Dolphins game, remember? Because Jermaine Asako received the penalty from right in front the week before the Eels game, where they said that the Eels were not offside, and we should have got those 2 points there. We didn't. And they said that we were offside against the Dolphins week prior. So, which one do you go with there? So the point that I'm making is that there's been one definitive game from the Dolphins that have convincingly said to me the Dolphins were the better team in that game, and that was this year. The last 2 games last year, we threw it away. You can't be up 26-0 and not say that we threw it away. We absolutely threw that away. All you have to do is defend and do your basic normal rugby league stuff, and you're not going to lose 26-0 up, which we didn't do. So, and then the other game was controversial. So, yeah, for me, revenge game, cut the fins off, and I think that we can do it. 2
points. You mentioned frauds. Let's start with Dwayne Bennett. Real footy fans don't get paid, mate. You're a paid actor. You're not a real fan. Get out of here.
Why do I get compared to this dude, eh? Like, why do I get compared to this dude?
There's no comparison, mate. You're a fan with passion, putting your hard-earned cash into it. traveling, buying hotels, accommodation, flights, everything else in between. This guy's a paid actor. He's a fraud. It's an insult to be compared to him for you.
I know.
Point number 2. Dolphins are scared of us. You've only got to go back to the trial game and see the team they rolled out against our rookies. They're scared. They absolutely know the first 3 games were lucky, and they're going to find out here. That's my final takeaway. My final prediction, Blaze, Titans 30, Dolphins 26. Jaden Campbell, he's not going to miss a conversion. We're going to score 5 tries. BK is going to score. Fafita's going to score. Alofiana Khan Pereira is going to score. Bo's going to score. And Jojo Fafita's going to score. JC's not going to miss 30 to 26. What's your final score prediction for this one?
You just go on 5 different try scorers and Jason not missing. I love it. Unfortunately, did miss a couple on the Manly game, but we move from that. We do move from that one. Hey, guess what? Tanner Boyd didn't miss anything down there. He was he was there though. He was there. But no, JC is very, very good at his kicking. Unfortunately, just down there at Manly, it just wasn't the day for us as a team, realistically. And those 2 missed conversions didn't really change much, in my opinion. Maybe if we go in at halftime 12-12, it changes, but I don't think so. Like my prediction, I will go with, I think both these teams can score, but I think that if we're going to win, we can't let it be an open scoring fest like you just said. I don't think we can actually win 30 to 26 because I think that other teams will outscore us. We need to come with that Desi mentality, and that Desi mentality is to defend and then to be able to utilize our attacking strike like a BK, like a Lofty, like a Phil Sami, like a JC. I think JC could have a huge game in this game with his feet and with the run around the field. I think he can light up. So I will go with the 20 to 18, which is not high scoring, but it is high scoring enough to say that there were points in the game. And I do think, we'll win by 2 points.
Love it. So we're both around that tight margin mark. You're 2 points, I'm 4. We don't expect to bomb the park. We just think that, if the team shows up with their best attitude, competes, then we can win a tight one here. And with that, we leave all the preview and analysis in the past, and we look forward to From the Frontline. Blaze is dancing. I don't know it yet, but there's probably a song being edited in with my voice right now, so I'm going to dance too, just in case there is. And if there's not, that's awkward.
You're the one who sent me the original song, mate. It's the Banana Phone song. That's what gets played every week.
Well, I'm very happy to hear it. It was a great choice by a great co-host and myself there.
You didn't even know it was on the podcast.
Our first one here, I didn't even know. This first one, mate, comes from Daryl. It's 8 seconds long. Let's dive in.
Hey, guys. What difference does Jaden Campbell make in the 5/8 role at the Titans in comparison to a few before him?
Yeah, great question. I think for me, what Jaden Campbell brings is the fact that he's not a 5/8. He is a fullback, but he's filling into that role. Long term, if another side was to sign Jaden Campbell tomorrow, I guarantee all 16 other clubs would be signing him as a fullback and not a 5/8. But I actually think that's a strength because Kieran Foran is experienced enough to really lead this team around and allow us to have 2 kind of fullbacks in attack. And that can be very dangerous in rugby league. Let me remind people that the Melbourne Storm, who are first right now, all 3 of their halves this year, Tyron Wishart, Karen Munster, and Jerome Hughes, are formerly fullbacks. So I think it does make our attack a little bit more potent. And then I think players like Tanner, for example, bring more of a controlling hand and a better kicking game than Jaden Campbell would. But yeah, that's what I think JC brings at 5/8. What do you reckon he brings?
Yeah, I think in comparison to the previous 5/8s that we've had, we've not really had a crazy solid 5/8 for a little bit now. We had, who was it? AJ was our 5/8 who is at a similar level, I guess, to JC. We had Ash Taylor, who was mainly our 7 for a long time, but then went to the 6 when Jamal Fogarty was there. We all know that how that kind of panned out there wasn't exactly what we would have liked from Ash Taylor, but good bloke. I think Kane Elgie played a little bit of 6 for us as well. Going back a few years. But what I will kind of point an emphasis at, and then you go back to like Aiden Caesar back in the day and whatnot, but what I'll point an emphasis at is that JC is one of the more elusive. Out of all those names there, JC is a very elusive styled 5/8 where he plays very similar footy to what he would do as a fullback, but he's obviously more in the line and he does really get that kind of movement flowing. And I just think that he needs more time there. He's only been there for a few weeks. Let's remind everyone that. Like, he hasn't really been there for a great deal of time. I think that just give him time, he'll really prove to be that elusive quality 5'8" that we need. Yes, Carter Gordon is knocking on the door as well, who is more of a defined half, but he could go into the centres as well. We don't know, or the lock as well. We don't know. So yeah, look, a lot to be decided. But JC is a very creative styled 5'8" rather than like Dylan Brown, for example, is a strong running 5'8" who is creative with the feet, but it's not so fluid. Like he's a very strong styled. And then you go to a similar, Munster is kind of in between a Brown and a JC in the way that he plays as well, which is why he is the best 5'8" in the game when he's fit and healthy. I would say that JC could end up being a very similar player if he continues down this trajectory experience-wise as Jerome Luai. I think both those guys could play very similar styles of footy. So that's what I would say JC can bring. Has he brought it yet? Not necessarily, but I believe he can get to that level.
It's a great call because JC does play with a lot of unpredictability and kind of off the cuff as well, which does suit him. You guys always make fun of me for this, but while you were talking, I did do a bit of research. 9 players have played 10 or more games at 5'8" for the Titans. They are Greg Bird, Tanner Boyd, AJ Brimson, Preston Campbell, Kane Elgie, Ashley Harrison, Kieran Foran, Matt Hilder, Tyrone Roberts, Matt Rogers, Aiden Caesar and Ash Taylor, and Will Zillman. That's more than 9. I can't count. That's more like 12.
I can understand Zilly playing a little bit of 5'8" because he was a great utility, but Ash Harrison's a wild one.
Yeah, and he had... where is he here? He had 11 games. He won 6 and we lost 5. He had 2 tries in the position as well. Oh, you're not going to believe who has the best win record at 5'8" for us. Okay, sorry. I said you're not going to believe who has the best win rate at 5'8" for us of all time. They played less than 5 games there, but they have a 100% record.
Oh, no. Jeez. Well, I can tell you right now that it's no one in recent years. We're going to have to go back. It's going to be like a Ford or someone that I would never... It's not Greg Bird, is it?
Not Greggy Bird. He has a win rate of 41.6%. 24 appearances in the
Wait, hold up. I don't want you to tell me yet. Gee, I don't know if I'm going to get it. I won't get it. Just tell me.
I reckon you'll get it with one hint.
No way. No way, yeah. Jared Hayne.
2 games, 2 wins at 5'8" for us in 2016. Jared Hayne has the greatest 5'8" record in our club history.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
We probably shouldn't count it because it's only 2 games. Jamal Fogarty, he played 1 from 1 with 100%, but yeah, I would not have guessed that. Let's move on to this next. Yeah, thank you very much, Dara. That was fun, and hopefully us going off on a tangent was enjoyable as well. This next one's from Bruce. Bring it on, Bruce. Bruce, you are cancelled because you do not know how a microphone works. You referenced Dave Fafita getting angry in your thing. Thanks for that one, Bruce, but a little bit back from luck next time, brother, and we will feature you on the show. This next one comes from Eddie. It's a minute long. Let's jump in.
Hey, fellas, hope you're doing well. Been sitting in R23 behind you, BKR at Seabus since 2008, so I've been through the trenches like you boys. I've been supporting this godforsaken team. Just a quick comment. Me, just like every other Titans fan, had every right to complain about a lot of the refereeing decisions going against us in some crucial moments this year. And due to our current form, might end up being the difference between a top 8 finish and an early Mad Monday. But, you know, in my opinion, as soon as we witnessed what they dished out against the Tigers in that second half, it should be a federal law that if a Titans fan complains about refereeing costing us a top 8 finish, it should be an automatic 6-month sentence. Respectfully, a New South Wales Cup team at that time, barring probably Appy Coruscant, doesn't deserve to be anywhere near September footy. Anyway, love the podcast. Keep up the good work, boys. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Eddie. And look, I agree with you 99%. I'd only push back 1% and say just because we played so bad against the Tigers doesn't mean that other robbery or bad results won't cost us, right? They're not mutually exclusive. They can both exist at the same time, and unfortunately they do exist at the same time in this instance. I'll tell you what, Blaze, I'll be completely honest here. Round 6, Raiders, I thought we were unlucky. I thought we should have got the penalty in front there. Round 7 at home against Manly, I thought we were unlucky. I thought there was a forward pass and they got the try there. Round 9, I feel like we weren't unlucky against the Storm. We just needed to be a little bit better. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it was just and I'll give my opinion in a second, but it was just a high tackle that led to 3 tries, bang, 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 but that wasn't a high tackle. But outside of that, it's just a bit of a tit for tat.
Okay, so we can throw it in we can throw it in if you want.
No, it's controversial, but it's not. No, it's controversial, but it's not robbery.
Yep. Round 11 against the Knights. No guarantee we kick it from the sideline, but certainly unlucky. No kidding about that.
The sideline, though. It was kind of like in between the sideline and the post.
Yeah. Well, we're up to 4 games there, okay? 4 games where we're unlucky. Now, if I bring up the NRL ladder and you award us 8 points, that puts us on about 26 points. We'd be 5th. Yeah, you're right. We'd be 5th. We'd be equal points with the Roosters, but we're behind on for and against. It's pretty good, man. Like, I know we're not there and we're in a bit of a make-believe world here, right? But we're doing pretty well considering we're missing our captain and skipper in a lot of this year, and Tino, and then Jimmy Jolliffe as well, right?
And new coach. But yeah, look, I think that in regards to the original statement, I know the reason we lost that Tigers game, and I don't think that the rest of the season should be adjudicated underneath it because this bloke was here. This bloke right here was at the Tigers game. And can you repeat for everybody, when you're at a Titans game, how long has it been since you've seen us win in the men's? Not the women's, because I know you were at the Raiders-Titans game in Canberra last year. When was the last men's game you've been to where we've won, home or away?
I want to say it was 2021 in Canberra. It was after the COVID kind of stuff. It wasn't a sold-out stadium. I think that was the last one, man. That's gone back 3 years now.
We did get a pretty big win there, but that's, 3 odd years ago. 22, 23, 24, yeah. So long time. And then I think before then, you've even got a bit of a break as well. I think a lot of you haven't seen a win before that as well for a while.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I want to say like I would have come home from the Navy and watched one at home at some stage, but I certainly remember more losses than I do wins. The one that I can absolutely remember as like the last proper moment where I was so excited and hyped at a game that I was there that we won was 2014 against the Bulldogs in the final round for Mark Minicello's final NRL game.
Oh yeah, that was massive. Yeah, that was massive. But yeah, so look, just said that was a joke, obviously, guys. But it is the truth as well.
It's a joke, but it's also not false.
It's not false, but it was a joke. Yeah, look, I think that as you said, it's not mutually exclusive. I will say, and I'll put my foot down on the Knights and the Raiders specifically, I will say that those 4 points right there we should have, and I will strongly say that. So that means that we're 2 points out of the 8 right now with a pretty poor points differential still, because we'd only win by 2 against the Raiders and potentially 2 against the Knights. It's only 4 points. I think we're minus 59 or whatever, so that's minus 55. The point matter is that, it was that anyway before this game. I think we're back under the 100 maybe now, or 90 or so. But yeah, look, I think that, not mutually exclusive. And I think that, we're just building towards next year. But I do understand how dejecting it was to lose that Tigers game. We were there. And also good of you to still be sticking by this club through thick and thin and being back there behind us in the front line, getting loud and getting proud, man, because that's what we need. More people like yourself to get to games and support this team through it all.
Well said. Big shout out to Eddie there, mate. Thank you so much for your support of this club over the years. Really glad you're enjoying the podcast, mate. And next time at Seabus, hopefully I can meet you and grab a Coke Zero or a beer, whatever you're.
No. You can't come to Seabus, mate, because we'll lose. We'll lose, mate. So you can't come.
No, people always laugh that I always Google stuff in the background. I just Googled the price of a custom face mask. And I'm going to get your face put on a mask and wear it because people always think we're brothers anyway. So I won't actually be at the game. There'll be 2 Blazers. And as long as I keep that mask on, we can win.
That's a scary thought, man. That is a scary thought. 2 Blazers, 2 BKRs in one stadium. You've got a lot to do then behind that mask. You can have a lot to do with that stadium.
Mate, if I keep giving away my secrets like this, I might become a part of Desi's coaching staff with the mad scientist himself.
Yeah, we're 2 wins in a row at Seabus at the moment, by the way. We beat the Warriors and we beat the Eels. So Broncos next week, we're coming at you.
Yeah, fingers crossed we can keep rolling that rolling that belief, I suppose, or at our home games. Well, one, and this is obviously first and foremost for our loyal fans like Eddie that have been there from the start, but also to attract more of a casual audience. You know, I feel like if we go on a bit of a run towards the end of this year in home games, then those people that are on the edge of I might come to a Titans game or I might not, that'll kind of push them over the edge to make that decision. So fingers crossed we can keep that home record solid on the run back. We've got one here that comes from Brendan Peterson. Let's let it rip there, Brendo.
Guys, I hope we're well. First off, let me start off by saying you pair are absolutely killing it, mate. This podcast, bang, listen to it every week and keep up the great work, eh? Now, you may know me as the guy from Facebook groups who has Up the Titans tattooed across his right arse cheek. Now, the reason for the message is I've got an ongoing bet with a good mate of mine. He's a diehard Dragons fan, and I'm Titans through and through. Now, this bet is in its third year. The bet goes, whoever's team finishes lower on the ladder, the loser buys the winner a new jersey. First year it happened, I had to buy a Dragons jersey for him, and that hurt. And then last year he had to buy me a Titans jersey, and that was pretty good. Now, Titans and Dragons, they're not far off each other this year, and they're sort of in similar boats, to be honest. I'd like to pick your brains on who's buying who a jersey this year, and when we do get up, what jersey should I get? Also, I'm going to send in the link to this podcast, so feel free to give the Dragons a bit of a spray if you want. Keep up the great guys and have a good one. All the best.
Well, thank you very much there, Brendan. And look, the ladder can say one thing, but I think any educated football fan knows another, and that is that the Dragons are absolute dog poo. I was going to swear then. I won't go that far. If you want a real jersey, Blaze was just giving a live demonstration there, and he continues to do as much of what a real jersey looks like. Now he's gone full Eshe. Doesn't matter. That's a real jersey. What I would say to you, Brendan, is have you officially got the rules in place here? Because when you say Dragons jersey, you know, was it decided that the St. George Illawarra Dragons jersey? If not, go and find a Chinese basketball team called the Dragons and buy them like a toddler's jersey that costs $5 from Alibaba.com or Temu. You know what I mean? And then I want you to put the rest of that money towards some beers or maybe some pizza with the footy, whatever you want, Brendo. Mate, Dragons suck. Titans rule. I hope one day I can have a tattoo as cool as you. And anything to add, Blaze?
No, he's a character in this pod. I love his post when he does put it up there. It gets everyone fired up there with the tattoo there. It's funny as. And then also he made one where he was like, I think he was taking the piss out of people who were like having a go at Tanner or something. And he was just having a drink. It was so funny. Anyway, keep it up, Brendo. But look, I think I'm going to go a little bit opposite here to Clarkey. And I'll say, look, you know, it's not looking exactly fantastic for us to finish above the Dragons with you. It's not looking fantastic. We do get to play them once down there in the Gong, though, in about 4 weeks' time. So if we win that one, that's 4 points separate, assuming that we've won our next couple of games. But yeah, it's not looking confident. But I will give you that if you do lose this bet, unfortunately, this year, one will win next year. And we better damn well hear a voice message next year from you celebrating receiving that jersey when we win the comp. But I think that, look, he has enough pain supporting a team from Cogra. You know, like, would you rather be down there at Burleigh Beach or Coolangatta, or, you know, one of these beautiful beaches we've got here on the Gold Coast, or down there at like Brighton in like a bay that is just filled with petrol and fuel and airport and, you know, like it's got nothing. He's got nothing on the Gold Coast. He's got nothing on the Gold Coast, man. So, like, I would feel bad for him. And I do feel bad for him. And if you're watching, mate, I feel bad for you that you support the Dragons because your area is just not as good as the Gold Coast. We live in the greatest city that has ever existed in this country. So, unfortunately, you might have to cough it up this year, but next year you'll get your jersey. And I think that the jersey you demand from him next year is one with like the gold plate. You know how in the Premier League, when you win and you don't lose a single game, I reckon you get like a gold plate. Like, make this gold. This area gold here, because we have that much premiership muscle. It makes me sick. It makes me sick how much premiership muscle we have. So I think that's all we need to do here today, because at the end of the day, our premiership muscle is sickening, Clarkey. It's sickening, mate.
I found the jersey. The Shanghai Dragons. They're an Overwatch League. I think that's a video game. It's $24. That's the jersey your friend gets. And if you win, I reckon you go for this jersey here. I love our Indigenous jersey, man. That is a ripper.
Our Indigenous jersey is really, really nice. It is nice, but I will say that go click on the one right next to it, the Anzac Day one.
This one's awesome as well.
Corporal Cameron Baird. This was, I know the result in 2023 wasn't great. We also wore it this year when we beat the Warriors over there in New Zealand, and it's a fantastic jersey that symbolises so much in regards to a big, part of our team and our community. So, yeah, I would say my suggestion would be the Anzac Day one because it's a proud part of us. But the Indigenous one is also absolutely fantastic. It's fantastic. Wow, that's actually a really good price.
It is, and that's what I was going to say again. This is a full team sign one here. If it's been specified any jersey, this is the one you should go for, mate. And if you're on Spotify or Apple right now, we apologize because you're probably thinking, what the hell are they doing or talking about? We were bringing stuff up on screen there.
All right, we got one more. Subscribe to YouTube on Gold Coast Titans Frontline Podcast. You get to see everything, except for, however, your internet has been so poor today that you've frozen so many times. So maybe they're going to go to YouTube and be like, "Oh, this guy's just his internet is in Tahiti. That's his internet is in the middle of the Pacific. So maybe they might not tune in. They'll just listen to Spotify in the future again."
Look, unconfirmed reports, but I would say that you and I are good looking enough that freezing or not, it makes for a delightful experience when tuning into your favorite Titans podcast, the only Titans podcast actually, which makes us the #1 Titans podcast. Alrighty, there we go. Thank you very much for that one, Brendan. Absolutely appreciate your banter in all the Titans fan groups, mate, and your tattoo sense there. Unfortunately, guys, that is going to close the show here today. We've had a pretty big show over that hour mark where my internet connection has just held up. Apologies for that. That's what happens when you have kids that watch Disney Plus 24/7 on the right.
Canberra.
And you're from Canberra. That's fair enough. That is absolutely fair enough. If you want to send in a message, you can via the link in the show's YouTube description and podcast provider description. Send them in and we will react to them every single week. That is going to close our show here on the Gold Coast Titans Frontline Podcast. Thank you very much for everyone that has been here with us, even through my poor internet connection. We absolutely appreciate you guys doing that. And we will see you again tomorrow for our NRLW preview, which you heard about at the start of this show.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the kind of Canberra that you do. That's the kind of internet that you do get in Canberra. It's just unfortunate. It's despicable. It's disgraceful. But guess what? We power through it. We power on, and that's exactly what we're going to do this week against the Dolphins after a pretty poor performance against Manly. Just is what it is. We're going to come together. We're going to support this team. We're going to have a bit of a laugh and get through it. And that's exactly what we try to do here. So, obviously, guys, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. And hopefully I see you there in the Titans Bay at Suncorp Stadium. Come and say hello if you do obviously listen to the podcast and whatnot. I've been loving seeing all you guys of late, whether we're in Manly or whether in Gold Coast or wherever we are. We always get you guys who listen coming down and say how much that you do appreciate it. So definitely get around it. Let's get a internet-affected zing from you, son. I want to hear the internet-affected zing from you. Zing! That's actually not too bad. That's actually really, really good. So, zing!